Standard 3.12 asks you to compare the US and Florida constitutions. So let's get started. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Virtual History 360. I'm Mr. Wade, and today we are reviewing Florida's updated civic standards. Now, this might be your introduction to the standard or a review before the EOC. Either way, we're going to work through this content together. Now, it might sound complicated, but don't worry. We're going to break it down together, and you're going to be just fine. But if you haven't already subscribed to Virtual History, do yourself a favor and click that button now so that you can keep up with all of the standard review videos that will be coming out this year. So, what do you say? Are you ready to jump right in with Standard CG.3.12? Here we go. First, let's discuss the purposes of a constitution. A constitution serves as a blueprint for how a government operates. It establishes the structure of the government, defines the powers and responsibilities of its branches, and protects the rights of its citizens. Both the U.S. Constitution and the Florida Constitution serve these fundamental purposes. Now, let's examine the basic outline of the U.S. and Florida constitutions. Both constitutions have three main parts: a preamble, articles, and amendments. The preamble of a constitution usually states the goals and intentions of the government and sets the tone for the rest of the document. The U.S. Constitution begins with the famous words, "We the people," emphasizing the importance of the citizens in the governance of the nation. Similarly, the Florida Constitution starts with, "We the people of the state of Florida." After the preamble, both constitutions have articles that cover various aspects of governance. These articles outline the structure and powers of the different branches of government, such as the legislative, the executive, and the judicial branches. They also address topics like individual rights, taxation, education, and the relationship between the state and local governments. Finally, both constitutions allow for amendments. Amendments are changes or additions made to the Constitution itself. The amendment process of the U.S. Constitution and the Florida Constitution have similarities, but also some differences. In the U.S. Constitution, an amendment can be proposed by either 2/3 of both houses of Congress or by a national convention called by 2/3 of the state legislatures. To become part of the U.S. Constitution, an amendment must be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures or by special state conventions. In contrast, the Florida Constitution provides two methods for proposing amendments. The first is through the Florida legislature, where a proposed amendment must be approved by 3/5 of both the House of Representatives and the Senate. The second method is through a citizens' initiative process, where citizens can propose amendments by collecting signatures and meeting certain requirements. To become part of the Florida Constitution, an amendment must be approved by at least 60% of the voters in a statewide election. It's important to note that while the Florida Constitution is specific to the state of Florida, the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land. That's from Article 6. This means that no state constitution or law can contradict the provisions of the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution sets the framework for the entire country and applies to all the states, including Florida. So, in conclusion, both the U.S. and Florida constitutions serve essential purposes in providing a framework for government, limiting government authority, and protecting individual rights. They have similar structures with preambles, articles, and amendments. However, their amendment processes have some differences, with the U.S. Constitution requiring national and state involvement, while the Florida Constitution allows for both the legislative and citizens' initiatives. Remember, the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of the land and applies to all states, including Florida. Okay. Now, I know you're going to go deeper into this standard in class, and I know your teacher's going to talk a lot about these two constitutions. That's where we are. It's going to help you with the EOC, right? But hopefully now you feel a little more confident about the content that we're talking about. But I do want to hear from you. Do you have any questions about what we've talked about today? If so, leave them in the comments below. And of course, while you're there, be sure to check out the link to my spring store so you can get your awesome virtual history shirts like you see me wearing today. Look, it's the Constitution. That's fitting, right? Be sure to use code STUDENT so you can get 10% off your entire order. Also, go ahead and hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to check out all my other videos. I have the rest of this Civics playlist, my other Civics videos that I'm sure you're going to like, US, world history, even 360 videos you can look all the way around. I know you're going to like them, so check them out. For Virtual History 360, I'm Mr. Wade. I'll see you next time.